Hello everyone, Don here with the next progress report on my Corsair. Today is the day after Christmas, so hope everybody had a good Christmas this year. So I've been waiting for this to show up. This is that piece of 3/4 or 5-inch stainless steel that I'm going to use to make my either a resonator or a muffler with. So this is like 30 inches is what it's supposed to be, and you can see it's got expanded on that end to slip over another, and this compares to the size of the spinner. So this is 4-inch, 5-inch, and I did pick up some 3/4 inch plate. This was a piece that they just happened to have. It was a 3-footer, and I had them cut me. It was 3 foot this way. It's 20 and a half by 36. So I just took and dug out the pan and laid it on here and thought, you know, it's probably enough to get two, and there is. Look at that, just barely enough. The cutter bit would fit through there. So if I work on one and screw it up, I got enough to do a second one. But I got to be very careful with cutting it out. And then I've been working on the spinner, and this was supposed to be a round plate that would go on the face of the propeller, and the heads of the bolts would go in these little recesses I cut out. Well, when cutting this one out, it ended up did this pocket first, and then it only lifted to 100 thou, which would have been 100 thousandths from the bottom of the plate. So I ran across there and bogged out and killed the stepper, you know, and knocked it clean out of whack. So I had to stop, reset it, redo the G-code, and then I went ahead and redid it anyway to see how the bolts would fit. Well, the bolt heads didn't fit very well, so I had to redo that like 3 times until I finally got them to where they would fit. So it wasn't a total loss. Well, I bought this the same day I picked this up, and turns out this is not T6. It's not 6061. It's soft. I can tell it's soft by the way it was cutting. And I took and did a little peck drill here with it. I was like, that ain't. I mean, I paid $26 for this. It was basically a 12 by 12 piece. This is the 1/2 inch, and it was this piece here. This is half of it. It was, you know, it was pretty much square. But just by looking at it, you can see the difference in the shine versus the extrusion, and I suspected, but I gave $26 for that. But I was still able to use it. I cut this off and cut it in half, so I had 2 pieces. So I went ahead and made a second piece. So it wasn't. And what surprised the hell out of me was once I cut these holes out to make the bolts fit, I took this thing over onto the new propeller hub, and it dropped right in. Every single bolt just dropped right in. It was absolutely perfect. So that CNC is right on money. I did have to recalibrate it, like I mentioned in the last one. So, like I said, this just came not 15 minutes ago. And I've been waiting on that. That was supposed to have been delivered at the beginning of the week. And then it was supposed to be on the truck Tuesday out for delivery on the 24th, and it never made it here. So, today's Thursday the 26th. Alright, well, this is where I'm at so far with my propeller spinner. That 3/8 inch plate for the bolt to recess in is back here. You can probably see the parting line between the two, the 3/8 and then the 1/2 inch. And then of course the dome spinner. And the way that's going to go together is just like this one here is. This is the 3/8 inch plate on the back against the prop. And then that there is a 1 inch reduced to basically 3/4 inch. And it's pressed through from the back, so I still have to make this piece. And then this is a 3/8 inch 18 thread bolt. So this is going to do the exact same thing. I'll drill this out to a 3/8 inch. I got a little unibit step bit. I'll run through there until I get out to fit that bolt. But this bolt's going to be a hex head. It's going to stick out where this one countersunk in here. So, but that's the same way. So let me go ahead and pop this off. It sits in a little recess, just about 1/8 of an inch recess. So this basically goes like this, just like this here. Put that in there, and then the bolt will pull that tight into this recess, And then this is just a ring. This is a separate ring. It had to go on around. I mean, it's a little snug. See if I got a little screwdriver here. But the corners of the bolts is just touching on some of these, a couple of these bolts. Let me grab something real quick. See if I can pry that off. This should work. Okay. Now you can see the back side has got that lip on it. And that lip sets into this little 1/16 of an inch shoulder cut out here. And what's actually hitting is it's just catching on some of these corners of these bolts, because these heads of these bolts are not perfect. The center of the bolt isn't the center of the head on some of these, because when you go to put them in the hole, they don't line up. You got to sit there and walk them around until it finally finds one that it likes and then goes in, because the head of the bolt is not centered on the shank, because it's probably just the way they're made. So you can see some little nick marks in there where I've been putting this on and off. But anyway, this center stud is going to be sticking out here the exact same way. It'll be 1 inch on the back side, and then it'll come out. And then this gets bolted right to through the propeller, nutted on the back. So that's how that's bolted on. And then the spinner just has that little stud sticking out, so it'll stick out like this. And then this ring covers the heads of the bolts up. And again, this goes in there. It's a little squeezed out, but she's good. And then you stick the bolt through and tighten it down. The bolt will hold this on into that, and then that'll get pressed into that, pulled together, and it should never come apart. So that's basically what I've been tinkering with this week. I was hoping, you know, to work on the exhaust, but that damn pipe never showed up. So, oh, there's one other thing. I want to just kind of keep this video a little short. I was digging around looking for the original alternator mounting bracket for this thing. It was a big, heavy cast steel bracket. I didn't use it because it was just so damn heavy, and then I think it made the alternator sit too high. But while I was digging through, I knew I had these. These are proximity sensors. These are the exact same sensors. I bought a pack of 5 of these things for my CNC. And right here, there's one here, another one here, and then the last one is back on that corner back there. And when that senses a tab, there's a tab here. When that tab comes over to the center of this thing, it triggers it. And there's a little LED, red LED light right there. Now this one requires power. You got to run 12 volts to the blue and brown, and then the black is the trigger out. Somebody asked me if I was going to send my oil pan project out to have somebody CNC it for me. What do you think, folks? So, if you look at this, this does have a little schematic on it of the criteria here. So, there's the, if it focuses at all. It's an NPN, which means negative, positive, negative. Transistor NO, normally open, and then 4 millimeter. And then it's got brown, black, blue, 300 milliamps. There's some kind of cap or something in there. But it's it'll handle 6 to 36 volts DC. So I think that'll trigger it. So I'm gonna wire this up to some power on the engine, and then I'll tie this back into the spark, and all I have to do is just get this close to a piece of metal. Every time it gets close, this light will blink, and it should fire the ignition. So I may have, and I need 2 of these anyway, so I've got 2 here. I went and did go get an O-ring for for this vent tube here. This plate's going to be flat with a recess for that O-ring to set in a recess, and then it'll get pressed up against the block, because the block where this is perfectly flat. So that'll cap. And that's just an air vent to go up. It'll basically come out of the engine block this way, go out the bottom of this pan, and then it'll go into the oil tank. After watching this 6061.com aluminum welding guy on YouTube, that's his handle, 6061.com, he makes a lot of tanks, oil tanks, racing fuel tanks, and he always uses 1/8 inch, 60-61. And so that's probably what I'm going to do. This is, like I said, this was pretty thin to begin with, so I'm not going to, I could weld it, but there's a better chance of that fracturing or cracking over time. So if I decide to go ahead and do this conversion to that slide carb TBI from Rotec radial engines, this will suffice for the ignition system. There'll be 2 of them mounted in, they'll be mounted inside this. As I was talking last week about it, having one inside and outside of the other. All I really need to do is put one on one side of the engine, one on the other side of the engine, with one trigger. Trigger comes around, triggers for one sensor for 2 cylinders, goes the other 180 apart, fires the other 2 cylinders, and comes back. So I only need 2 sensors on each side of the gearbox, with only one screw, metal tab or something on the flywheel. So if it comes around and fires this one, because every 180 degrees the engine fires 2 spark plugs. So 2 full rotations gets you through two cycles. So, but it fires every time you get the top dead center on any cylinder. It's firing whether it's compression or exhaust. So they should work fine. I'll give them a try. So, all right. I think that's about all I got. I was waiting for this thing so I could work on it. Since I didn't get that, I started working on this. So my friend in Alabama, Kevin, he's going to see this, and he's just going to have an orgasm and want one. So I'm already going to make one. So I have this made, and I just got to. His going to be a little different because his bolts go in and torque down, and they have to be safety wired on the heads. Mine have lock nuts on the back. That's why my nuts are captive. So when I make his plate, this plate, I don't have to recess the bolts. But when I make the outer ring that goes on there, I need to make enough clearance around the heads of the bolts for him to be able to run safety wire. Because I was going to make my ring like this, and then it was like, that's too much work. I'll just recess the whole thing like I did. So that took care of the not needing this. His won't be using anything like this. The bolts just go through a thinner plate. It doesn't have to be 3/8. I can get away with either 3/16 or 1/4 inch on his. It doesn't have to be thick like mine. Mine needed that plate just because that's what the prop calls for. His, you can just slap that on there, and then it'll have the same center stud and have the same spinner and the same kind of ring, but the ring will have to be clearanced enough so he'd be able to safety wire them, and the ring should cover everything. So he'll be happy with that. All right, everyone, I'm going to end her up here. It's dinner time. So, as always, appreciate everyone taking the time to watch my videos. Feel free to leave any comments, questions, concerns, as always. Appreciate the ones that people are leaving now. So, I think that's going to do her till the next update. I'll be out. I didn't drive today or yesterday, but I'll be out tomorrow, so I didn't really need to go out this week. I was planning on staying home tomorrow too, but I guess I can go work one day. And then I'll be back at it this weekend, finish up my spinner, and then see what I can do about starting on this exhaust, finishing up the exhaust. And then the next phase would be getting on that. Oh, I did get one more package today. I got my new 5/16 end mills. I can tell you these things are really super nice, extremely nice. Get some light here. Those things are just like polished, and those cutting edges are crisp and clean and sharp. So these are for aluminum. It's got stickers not on that part, it's on the other part. Sorry. But these were like $40 for 5 off eBay. That's probably one of the nicest finished ones I've ever gotten for the price, and they are sharp. So, all right, let me close that up so I don't drop it and chip them. I got 5 of those, and that's 5/16. That's the biggest collet I have. This is a 1/4 inch collet, and I have one other collet that's just big enough to hold those. So this is a 3/8. I bought this because it was a 5/16 end mill, but it was a 3/8 shank, so I can't use it. It won't fit will not fit in this collet. It's an ER11, and the 5/16 is the biggest one I can get. So, all right, everyone, that's going to do her. I'm going to get inside and get some dinner and give you guys one last look at this. I think it turned out really nice. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to do something with this square edge. I'm either going to bevel it back, clear back to here, put a bevel 45 or something on it, or I may come up, go in, radius it, cut it away. The ideal thing would be leave maybe an 1/8 of an inch thick lip up here, maybe 1/8 inch deep, because the original ones had a locking ring that went in there and locked, so it had this little shoulder back here. So I can whittle this down, but I can't get too far down, or I'll get into the pockets for the that pocket in the backside for the heads of the bolts, and I don't want to cut it that far. But right now this is probably a little thicker than it needs to be. I'm just gonna whittle that down somehow. But I got to make a bracket to hold this in there, because this thing just presses on there lightly, and I got to clamp it together somehow before I put it in a vise to whittle away on that. So, okay, everyone, that's going to do it for now, and I will see you again this coming weekend, probably Sunday, Monday, at the latest, Tuesday. All right, everyone, I will catch you on the next one. So for now, this is Dino Don out.